still loading into the track, but yeah, we're
That's
good.
fine. No worries. I changed the graphics package a little bit. I went with the one that Carlos has been using recently. Because we've been having problems in qualifying. So hopefully it works today.
Alrighty.
All right, got the notification that we're live. Our mics are probably hot. I don't even know. Hey, our mics are hot. Hello, everyone. Let's go live. Hello, everyone. Welcome live to 3Y TV, tonight's broadcast of Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. You got a little bit of pre-race action there by myself, Peter Short, and Andre Graham Bush alongside here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Hope you're all having a good time. It is International Beer Day, and it is the International Beer Day 150 presented by our friends over at the BeerStreetJournal here at the Southern National Racecourse. And I'll tell you what, Andre, last time we were here on the short tracks, tempers flared here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. And oh, look at that. Philip Scott just absolutely mowing into the side of the number 17 machine. That's probably not very good for those drivers, but nonetheless, practice here wrapping up here in about a minute or so.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun race. There's only one thing better than a short track, Peter. That is a short track with banking, and this track has that. So it's going to be high speeds, considering the length of the track. I mean, obviously a little bit slower than a mile and a half, but for a short track, they're going to be maintaining their momentum. And like you said, it's going to be a little bit of a short track bash here. We're going to see if the tempers flare and what kind of show these guys put on. But yeah, happy International Beer Day.
Yeah, we polled a couple of the drivers before the start of the race as to what their favorite beer is, so we'll be highlighting those throughout the day, throughout the night, and throughout the race. So very interesting, some of the people and their favorite beers, and the out there on the track. We'll, like I said, highlight that as we go on, as Tyler Bellinger has a little bit of a spin coming out of turn number 2. It is a short track here tonight, and Andre, these drivers are going to be whipping around this racetrack here in this 150 lap race.
Oh, they absolutely are. Look at that banking when they get into that corner right there. It's going to allow them to drive it in a little bit deeper and get on the throttle a little bit sooner. So we might see some bold moves and maybe even some multi-groove action. You don't see that on short tracks a lot, but you add that banking into the mix. And sometimes that high line comes into play, especially as the run goes on. Right now in practice, look at the track. The bottom lane is a little bit darker. That means that's where the rubber is. But we got 150 laps to rubber that top line up. And in my experience here at Southern National, you can make it work. Now, I've never seen the trucks race here, but in modifieds and things like that, you can definitely sling around the top. So it's going to be a good show either way. Looks like practice is over, and we're going to jump right into qualifying here. See who's going to take the top spot. I think, I mean, how cliche is it, Peter, to say that track position is important? I mean, I feel like you say that everywhere you go, but at short tracks, I feel like sometimes, especially early on before the multi-groove really starts to come in, it's going to be difficult to pass. You're going to have to be aggressive if you want to make those passes. So if you want to be up front, you might just want to grab yourself a good qualifying position, make it easier on yourself.
Yeah, for sure, you definitely will. So we'll see whether or not that happens here, as we got drivers out there on the racetrack trying to put themselves up near the top of the board. Here comes the number 5 machine of Matt Cherry. Got HendrickCars.com with that Ricky Hendrick inspired paint scheme right now, working his way out of turn number 2 here. Philip Scott already jumping up to top of the board in his number 99 World Ninja League machine. Julian Tesoro now jumping up into second in the number 30 machine. There he is, going to be very, very quick here tonight, I do believe. Vincent Valvana, great lap time by the number 64. He's going to jump up into the top 5, up into third. And Julian Tesoro going to be second fastest of all, just 15 thousandths of a second behind Philip Scott. But great job for the number 99, who had such a great race at Daytona 2 weeks ago, as we had an off week last week. Here's Jason Gracias, though. He's going to jump up to the point in the MaxGrafix.co number 1 Chevrolet. He's going to not even turn a second lap. He knew he got every little bit of the racetrack on the first lap, and so he will be on the provisional pole as we're waiting for some of these other drivers to work their way out. Here is the number 6 machine here. Doug Milliner And I'll tell you what, Andre Milliner with that Mark Martin-inspired scheme, he is one of those drivers who could be a sleeper on these short tracks. He hits the wall there. That will probably not do a whole lot of good for the number 6 machine as he's continuing to struggle here in qualifying.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird, the way that it shot up to the wall the second time. I almost thought it might have been a mechanical issue, but sometimes if the tires are cold, you go into the corner just a little bit too quick. iRacing is not very forgiving. You see he just slides up the track again and kind of looks like he's struggling with front-end grip.
Yeah, definitely struggling for front-end grip, that is for certain. Not sure exactly what the issue is there for the number 6 machine, as he's going to kind of woe it down to a halt. Nathan Maurer out there on the racetrack right now in the number 971 machine. He also is going to bring it slow down here on the front stretch. Here is a new driver to the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, the number 10 machine of Colton Gum, working his way out there on the racetrack in that number 10 truck. And Andre, always good to see fresh faces here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series and National Sim Racing Association.
It's always great to bring in new blood, get some new faces and bigger fields. Although, tell you what, this is not a track I'd want to be a rookie to the league at, because it's real easy to make enemies real quick. I think first impressions are everything, and sometimes, man, cars come together on these short tracks, and it can be rough to be a rookie at this kind of place. But we'll see how he does. He's put down a pretty decent qualifying effort. It looks like he's got some pretty solid control over his car. A lot of speed coming out of the corner. So I look to see some good things from him, and he's going to pull it down pit road here. The very open pit road here, Peter. This is one of the tracks where you can pretty much go anywhere you want in the infield because, well, there's not a whole lot of an infield.
Yeah, there really isn't, and these drivers will have to, get onto pit lane. I think in general, pit lane is going to be an interesting topic here tonight, especially if we have to get some green flag pit stops. The chances of that, of course, on a short track, extremely rare. But if we do get some green flag pit stops, I wouldn't be all surprised if we see some interesting pit lane issues, kind of contrary to what we typically see here in the NSRA, because this pit lane is just not easy to get onto. It's a very narrow racetrack, and I know we talked about this quite a bit, Andre, that we get quite a few green flag pit stops here in the National Sim Racing Association, just because of the fact that these drivers, they tend to surprise us with how few caution flags they bring out. And hopefully here tonight we don't have a whole lot of caution flags, and these drivers could get out there and put on a really good show as the qualifying session here is about to wrap up. It will be the number 99 machine of Philip Scott, who will be the number 1 machine of Jason Gracias. As I get my live timing scoring updated here, as Gracias in that number 1 truck will be starting on the pole. I believe he actually won the race last night here in the National Sim Racing Association, as well as they had their Grand National Series come here last night.
One interesting thing to note, Philip Scott, who is second, he actually was quicker than the pole time in practice. So we know he's got a lot of speed under the hood of that 99. And Jason Gracias as well, very fast. And I mean, how many battles have we seen this year, Peter, between Philip Scott and Jason Gracias? These two have really been a class of the field numerous times over. And at a track like this, where they're not going to be able to get away from each other, this is going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, it is going to be a fun one to watch. That is for sure, as we're just making sure we can get everything all queued up for everyone back at home here on 3 Wide TV. As we've been kind of struggling with some graphics package issues over the last couple of weeks, and just bear with us a moment before we get that starting lineup for all of you folks back at home. I think I'm just about got everything all sorted out for all you folks back home. But I'm very much looking forward to this race, and great to have you back in the booth here tonight, Andre. I know you were out spending some good quality time with some buddies a couple weeks ago, and that's what we like to see. Of course, sim racing community, I think we all understand that sim racing sometimes has a little bit of a back seat. So great to have you back in the booth alongside here tonight, as I think we've got everything all squared away. We're going to go with a side ticker here tonight for all the action. And let's actually see if we can bring up the starting lineup for tonight's race, Andre. Why don't you take it away?
Looks like we got Jason Gracias on the pole alongside Philip Scott. We already talked about those two a little bit. Julian Tesoro and Tristan Maher are going to be 3 and 4. Stan Hausman is going to be 5th in that BeerStreetJournal car here on International Beer Day alongside Nate Maurer there in 6th. Vinny Valvano, we talked about him quite a bit over the last few weeks, just kind of talking about how he's slowly been getting faster and faster and feels like he's really coming into his own here. So a solid top 10 qualifying position is going to put him 7th, right next to Doug Neal in 8th. Justin White is going to be P9 alongside Dominic Tesoro, and I'll hand it off to you for 11th.
Yeah, Matt Cherry will be rolling off from the inside of row number 6. Martin Clute will be alongside. A little bit further back behind them, Tyler Bellinger and Doug Milliner, row number 7. As, holy smokes, green flag already in the air. We'll kind of highlight the back half of the field here in just a little bit. Sorry for all the technical gremlins. We're getting everything hopefully sorted out here on 3 Wide TV, as things just aren't working exactly the way they used to with one of the most recent iRacing updates. As Jason Gracias is your race leader, Philip Scott in 2nd, Julian Tesoro in 3rd, Tristan Maher side-by-side action just a little bit further back. Look at Stan Hausman in that number 39 machine to the inside of Nathan Maurer. This is our first side-by-side battle for position here, Andre.
He's down low, and I'm a little bit surprised here. It looks like that middle line is actually preferred, and it seems like Hausman may be at a bit of a disadvantage being pinched to the bottom. He's got to try to worm his way up the track to maybe get a little bit more speed. We got another side-by-side battle a little further back, the number 13 truck, as Stan Hausman clears himself just barely, Peter. That was a close one, and I think we're going to see quite a bit of that tonight as the 39's going around contact. Cars behind him scramble. Green flag stays out, and no! More contact. He backed right into him. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, caution flag is now out in the air, and unfortunately we will have to get things all woed up for all of these drivers. The number 39 machine of Stan Hausman not doing all too well there. Let's see if we can go back and catch that 3 Wide TV replay. Here is the number 39 machine. Stan Hausman gets loose there in the corner all by himself, comes back down the racetrack, nowhere for Dominic Tesoro to go in the number 69 truck, and then Tesoro throws it in reverse, and they have another coming together between those two.
Yeah, I'm not entirely. I don't understand the reverse thing. There was nobody in front of him. That was kind of a weird situation. We'll go on board with Hausman. Again, just a little loose on his own. Tires are probably still a little cold at that point. He gets into Tesoro and then just takes off the brake pedal a little too soon, unfortunately. So that's going to be some damage to both of them. Luckily for Tesoro, it was right rear damage, but I don't think it's going to be quite as detrimental as that front end damage that Hausman now has. From Tesoro's perspective, let's see if we can maybe get a... Yeah, okay, I can see why he put it in reverse from his perspective. He did still have cars, right in front of him, and he probably thought he was getting out of harm's way. Didn't realize the 39 was already starting to recover there. So it's one of those deals in racing, and sometimes we have a good perspective up in the booth, and as spectators, we can see everything. But as drivers, sometimes it's hard to tell where everybody is at all times, especially if you don't have a live spotter. So things like that tend to happen, but luckily both of them will be able to continue on in the race, and really no harm, no foul.
Yeah, no harm, no foul. That is the good news between those drivers, but it does bring out the first caution flag of the night here on 3 Wide TV for all of the folks back at home. We want to welcome you to the channel. If you're just now joining us, you haven't missed a whole lot, as we went green flag just a moment ago. Pace truck lights have turned off, so we will be going back to green flag racing here in just a moment. The number 1 machine of Gracias, though, choosing the high line here for this restart here, Andre, and we'll see what he can do as he heads off towards turn 1.
And a little bit of a jumbled restart for the inside is going to cause an accordion effect that lets Jason Gracias easily take the lead and start to drive away with it as they go side by side for second. Tristan Maher and Philip Scott battling for second. And again, Peter, look at this. That middle line proves to be just a little bit quicker. I was not expecting that going into tonight. I thought the very bottom was going to be the fast line early on, but no, the mid line is prevailing. But look at this. Maher a little bit low, some contact there. They're going to stay side by side. Looks like the 17 is going to get the lead going into the next corner. So maybe it's not the middle groove, Peter. Maybe it's just the fact that Tristan Maher can go anywhere he needs to with that truck, because he was high, he was low, and he made passes either way.
Yeah, Maher has won multiple races so far this season, as has Jason Gracias. Got to give the number one machine credit as well. Those two have combined to win a majority of the races so far that we've run this season. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, Matt Cherry on the outside of Doug Neal. This is a battle just around the top 5, and with the pass, I think Cherry's finally cleared Doug Neal. Indeed, he has. He will put himself up into the top 5 here tonight. That's a great start for Matt Cherry. Started all the way outside of the top 10. And Andre, he has been on a mission. Plus 6 positions. Can you believe that in just 15 laps? And it feels like only about 5 of those laps, honestly, have been run under green flag conditions because they are absolutely picking him up and laying him down when it comes to the lap counter. 16 laps gone. We're already 10% of the race in. And it feels like we just went green flag for the first time tonight.
Yeah, these guys are clicking off laps really quickly. Again, these lap times are on fresh tires down in the low 14s, then as the tires where we only get up into the 15s, maybe 16s. So very, very quick track here as the number 2 Grinds Coffee Pouch truck's going to make a bit of a pass on the number 8, Martin Plout. Martin coming back. I'm not actually sure if he raced the Chicago Road Course. Again, I missed that race, unfortunately, but looks like he's coming back in style here, top 10 so far, as he goes side by side a little further back. The number 6, he was struggling in qualifying, Peter, but looks like he might have got this track figured out a little bit better because he's holding that low line, a lot of car control there, and he's making that number 10 work for this position.
Yeah, absolutely. He's working for every little bit of this racetrack that he can get. Number 10 makes that pass around the outside. Doug Miller and Vincent Valvano still battling things out back behind him. Unfortunately, Vinny had that great qualifying lap inside the top 10 in 7th. He's now fallen back to 14th. Meanwhile, up at the very front of the field, if you're looking at the live timing and scoring ticker on the left-hand side of your screen, well, you would see that these two keep trading the top spot as Tristan Thuggy Maher in the number 17 is in danger of losing the top spot to the number 1 Gracias, who started this race on the pole. Great lap time by the 1 of Gracias, but he's turning some good lap times now right down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. And Andre, that's where he lost the lead. He lost the lead to Maher when Maher was down there by the white line. Now he's trying to get that lead back using that white line.
Yeah, he's definitely making a good move here, and I think he's slowly chipping away, just inching ahead a little bit lap after lap, but it's not easy, that's for sure. Tristan Maher is putting up one heck of a fight here on the high line, and actually right there gets the advantage, get to the line. The one got a little squirrely coming out of the corner, but they're going to stay door to door. And all this battling, look at that. We talked about the number 5, Matt Cherry. Well, he just picked up 2 more positions while we weren't really paying attention. That put him up into 4th, and he is soon to make a move for 3rd. And if these guys keep battling, I think this, whoa, man, that 21 Ford credit truck, big sideways, but a great save. Impressive piece of driving right there. Man, oh man, contact there. What a gaggle of cars this is.
Yeah, this is a pretty big group of drivers, and of course they're being held up right now because usually when you run side by side like this, you are running a little bit slower on the racetrack. Want to give a huge shout out in the chat. Huge shout out to Adam Dama, who has super chatted and says, "Good morning from Korea for the final time." Yes, folks, we've talked about it pretty much all season long that Adam Dama races in Korea. Is in the U.S. Armed Forces and has been stationed over there. The good news is Adam is coming back home to the States, and the other good news is he will be getting married here fairly soon. So want to give a shout out to Adam Dama. Julian Tesoro is going around in the back of the screen. The number 30 machine has gone around, as has Tyler Bellinger. So second caution flag of the night waves here on 3 Wide TV. Let's see if we can see what happened here. Let's go on board with Tyler Bellinger, who also went around. Watch what happened to 30. Not sure if there was any contact there, but there was contact kind of in the aftermath as Bellinger got into the back. Excuse me, there with Matt Cherry.
Yeah, sometimes it's really hard to react in time at these short tracks. There's so little room for error, and when that 30 started going around, I think that Bellinger thought he was going to get clear of him, but then the cars in front of him kind of checked up, and it caused that bit of contact. And yes, Tesoro had a little help there, Peter. That was Well, that was more than a little help, and I'm not sure if there was history prior to that or just one of those situations where you're trying to put the pressure on the guy, you're trying to ride on his bumper, and then you just get a little too close by mistake. And either way, I don't think Tesoro cares whether or not that was intentional. I think in his mind, he's just thinking, well, I got bumped, and I'm probably not pleased about it. But right there, you can see the left rear quarter panel. If you're going to bump somebody, you want to hit him square on the bumper. Otherwise, that is the end result. And the 21, again, trying to do everything he can to not be involved, but just kind of boxed in, nowhere to go when the car's in front, kind of accordion back to him. But Tesoro is back on track, and I'm not sure if he even lost any positions as far as the game is concerned, at least yet, because he is right behind that number 5 now. I'm not sure if this league has a spin or spin-E rule where if you're involved, you go to the back. I believe they do, so I'm not sure that this position is going to hold.
We'll see how it all plays out here when we go back to green flag conditions in about a lap and a half or so. But like I mentioned, we did poll the drivers before the drop of the green flag to find out their favorite beer because we definitely have some mixed bag. And the first one that we're going to highlight here tonight is the number 39 machine of Stan Hausman, a little bit further back in the pack in the 11th position right now. His favorite beer is Red Hare Brewing. Well, at least it's a favorite brewery. Red Hare Barrel Aged Gangway IPA is his favorite beer of all. So he's an IPA fan. I can't say I'm much of an IPA fan myself. I had an IPA fad, if you will, and then that died off, and I have not been an IPA fan since. But Red Hare Barrel Aged Gangway IPA from the Red Hare Brewing Company in Marietta, Georgia is the number 39 machine's favorite beer here tonight as we celebrate International Beer Day. As the iRacing pace truck lights are off, we will continue to highlight these different drivers' favorite beers as we go through tonight's event here on the channel, the International Beer Day 150 presented by BeerStreetJournal.com as the pace truck heads down onto pit lane. Green flag back in the air as the number 17 is our race leader. Tristan Thuggy Maher heads off towards turn number 1. And one thing to note, Andre, is we had a mixed bag of strategies on pit lane. We had some drivers stay out, like Jimbo Casterline here on the Stay Tuned Sports with Jimbo machine. That's Jimbo right there on the racetrack. He stayed out on the race track under this caution, did not come down, did not get fresh tires. Meanwhile, drivers like Jason Gracias did, and we'll find out here just how much tires matter, I think.
Yeah, I think tires are going to be really important here. Even though we got a lot of banking, corner speed is still going to be really important as the number 6 goes around. And unfortunately, I believe the 21, Bellinger, was also involved again. That's going to be another incident for him. I believe he's still on track, whereas the number 6 took a tow. Take a look at a replay, see exactly what happened here between these two. So the number 6 down low. He's side by side with the 13 machine. And looks like just a little bit too much throttle coming out of the corner. And again for Bellinger, nowhere to go. Man, you can't help but feel bad for this guy. I mean, 2 incidents, and neither one of them really was anything he could do. So from the perspective of Bellinger, keep an eye on that Folgers truck. It's a little bit squirrely in the middle of the corner. I didn't even notice that. And then as he's coming out of the corner, he's going to get on the throttle real hard here. And actually, no, it wasn't the throttle input. It was a little bit of a bump from that 21, and nowhere for him to go after that spin started. So that was a very, very gentle bump there, Peter. And I think that shows exactly how temperamental these trucks are, because some other tracks on this schedule, you know, you could kind of handle a bump like that and correct it, but it seems like they're really struggling for grip out there, and even a little nudge on the rear bumper, if it's not lined up properly, is going to send you for a ride. Yeah,
that's for certain. Unfortunately for some of these drivers out there, that's not the first time they've been turned around here tonight, as Philip Scott will inherit the lead. One of just 2 drivers now left who have not come down pit lane as we're working lap number 41 of the scheduled 150 here tonight. Adam Dama, with that huge $10 super chat, we really want to say thank you very much. And not only thank you very much for the $10 super chat, but more importantly, thank you very much for your service to the country that I live in, the United States of America. I really do appreciate that, and it's great to see that you're coming home. Hopefully you make it home here nice and safely here in a couple of weeks. And of course, like I said, we'll be getting married here soon. So if you're in the chat watching here tonight, give a big shout out to Adam Dama. Martin Plute joined us in the chat briefly. RC Plains 59, as well as Ryder Leangle, rooting on the number 99 machine of Philip Scott, who will be our race leader when the green flag comes back out. Pace truck lights are off. We'll see whether or not the NSRA officials elect to extend this caution flag. I think they will, because the field is not quite bunched up, and yes, the lights were turned back on. Looks like Vincent Valvano will be should be getting a wave around, I would expect, because Valvano in the number 64 is not a race leader, but somehow is at the front. Tyler Bellinger getting waved on by. I don't know if that's the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. I don't really know what's going on. I think the flagman doesn't really know what's going on as well here, Andre.
Yeah, so according to scoring and timing, the number 99 is considered to be in the lead. Adam Newton is second, and it's saying Doug Neal is third. And the first car one lap down as of right now is Uncle Jimbo in the 18. He is one lap down. Now Bellinger actually being scored one lap down. So this timing and scoring is kind of going back and forth. I'm just as confused as the flagman here as they catch up to the field. And I believe the lights have went off on the pace car again, but I think we're going to get another extension because I'm not sure these guys are all caught up.
Yeah, and there's those lights turning back on now. I think we're starting to see some of the back half of the field line up here. We'll see them all work their way on by as it looks like we've finally got the field all back together. So that's the good news. Is I think we'll be going green flag this time. Almost to the 1/3 race distance. This race is absolutely flying by here on 3 Wide TV. Thank you for joining us as the lap count is ticking away. Green flag back in the air. Philip Scott, your race leader, gets out to a big jump. Doug Neal in the number 77 in the Simbox Motorsports machine. Make sure you check out one of our series sponsors here, Simbox. They're facebook.com/SimboxPCs. Make those custom button boxes, and currently Doug Neal showing that you need a custom button box there. He's up into second. He's on fresher tires here, and he might be playing around with the number 99 for the lead here shortly, Andre.
Absolutely. He's getting good runs out of the corner, and those fresher tires are just allowing him to put his foot to the pedal a little bit quicker than the next guy, and that is just completely adding up for him here. And once he gets an opportunity, if the 99 just slides up the track a little bit, or maybe if the 77 moves to the top, he's definitely going to have a truck that can compete for the lead. We are going side by side behind them. I believe that's the number 10. And let me tell you something, man. That number 10 is another big move. We talked about the 5, but the 10 started almost dead last. He was actually, no, he did. He was the slowest out of all of the trucks that put down a qualifying lap. And here he is battling for a top 5 50 laps in. That's quite a lot of cars passed.
Yeah, sometimes that qualifying lap time, you just don't get it. All of a sudden, the racetrack feels a little bit different. We actually had a comment in the chat from Tyler Bellinger saying that the racetrack felt a lot different for qualifying than it did in practice. And sometimes that will catch drivers off guard because the racetrack resets and its track status. The temperature will be different in qualifying than it is at the end of practice. And you have all these variables changing all of a sudden. The way you've been driving the racetrack just doesn't work. Maybe you're going to lock up the brakes. Maybe you're going to slide up the racetrack, something like that in qualifying. And your lap time is absolutely ruined. As the number 10, though, they're smacking the wall. You see sparks flying from the right side of the number 10 Ford F-150. He gets things gathered back up. A little bit of a slide there out of Tristan Thuggy Maher. I was joking around prior to the race with Tristan Thuggy Maher because Tristan's favorite beer here as we celebrate International Beer Day, believe it or not, is Bud Light. I don't think you can get more generic, and he said, you can call me white trash, he doesn't care. So I don't think it's Tristan Thuggy Maher here today. I think it's Tristan White Trash Maher. But
I'll tell you what, I can get more generic. You want to know mine?
What's that?
Coors Light.
See,
that's more generic, I think.
I don't. I think that's slightly less generic in my book, anyway. We got a car around in the back. That is Robbie Clavey, who has gone around back there in the RC2 Motorsports machine. Yellow flag is out as he will lose a lap to the leaders there as he tries to get back turned around. Let's see if we can see exactly what happened here in the number 73 machine. Has Jordan Schepler right behind him. Let's see if there's any contact. Doesn't look like there's any contact. Looks like he just drove it in a little bit too hard. There's some contact on the back end with the number 2 machine there of Justin White, but the caution flag didn't come out for a while. Then I heard something might have happened to Doug Miller. Oh, something did happen to Doug Milliner.
Oh,
and something happened
Maher.
to Tristan Maher as well here. Andre, let's see what happened to the driver who had such a good start to the race here tonight in that Eclipse Photography F-150.
Let's see if he got a little bit of help. Oh, he got a lot of help there. I think what happened was the truck underneath him got a little bit squirrely, and he was trying to catch it. And when he caught it, it just sent him up the track. And unfortunately, Maher was just kind of in the path there. And then the 6 truck came along. And with these tight corner radiuses, you can't always see what's going on too far ahead of you. So again, the number 97 down low just gets a bit squirrely. He's trying to chase it up the track. And that's going to send the 17 around. But the killing blow was the number 6 coming around the corner. Again, you can't see anything in these hairpins. I'm sure the number 6 was just as surprised as we were to see that 17, and then huge impact to the driver's side, left front, doorway a little bit there. That might be night-ending damage. That was quite an impact.
Yeah, that is a tough break for Tristan Thuggy Maher, who has put together so far a fantastic season here in the National Sim Racing Association. He's not our points leader. However, he's been up there in the point standings pretty much all season long. Only been second to Mr. Consistency so far this year, Philip Scott, who has finished in the top 10 in every race we have run so far. The number 99 currently in the 7th position. Came into tonight with a 107-point lead. That is not a lead to be scoffed at all, Andre. 107 points is huge, and with the second place driver in points having problems there in the number 17 truck, the number 99 is just going to extend that points tally and then points lead one would expect here tonight.
Yeah, I've been telling Philip Scott all year long. Every time we talk to him, he's up on the podium, and for a while he was really seeking that win, and he was starting to get disappointed with the podium finishes, but you can win a championship on podiums alone. Heck, you can win them on top 5s alone as long as you're the most consistent guy, and everybody else is just having the occasional bad run. Racing is about more than just the outright speed or being the fastest guy. Sometimes you got to be the smartest, sometimes you got to be the cleanest, and that 99 has done one heck of a job all year long of being there consistently, always finishing up front, always running up front, and putting himself in good positions. As we do go green, and a huge spin out of the back of the field. Couldn't quite make out who that was, but it looks like the caution is out again. So we'll try to dial up a replay here, see exactly who that was. Again, I couldn't quite make it out. Looks like maybe the 64 truck back there. The accordion effect from the 99 stacked the field up, and then again, the 17 Maher had nowhere to go, so a little bit of contact there sends the 64 truck around, and man, Maher, night goes from bad to worse. Again, nowhere to go. Keep an eye on the 17. He thinks we're green flag and we're ready to go, but then everything just stacks up in front of him. I mean, what do you do as a driver in that situation?
Yeah, you see green flag and it's go, go, go. Especially when you can't really see in front of these trucks. You can't see 3 cars in front of the trucks. If you did, you'd be a magician. So, really, that's one of those times when it just is unfortunate. But you'll, of course, re-rack him and light him up once more here in just a moment. Just checking on who is our lucky dog under this particular caution flag. I believe it's Jimbo, but I'm not, honestly not 100% sure. We have had, of course, multiple Lucky Dog Awards, courtesy of our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital here in the caution flags we have had. And it's just on these short tracks, especially with these short cautions, Andre, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to exactly keep track of who is the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner. And Tyler Bellinger there whipping around the outside, kind of looking like he might be one of these, but not 100% sure. It's kind of hard to keep track of, especially because right now we do have I think just 11 drivers on the lead lap. This is one of those racetracks, Andre, where if you go down pit lane, you take 4 fresh tires, and you're in the back half of the field, you're going to lose a lap under caution. So it's one of those where if it was me and I'm in the back half of the pack, I'm coming down, I'm taking 2 tires. And then if I have to come back around and take 2 more tires, I'm going to do that. You don't want to lose a lap at all costs here.
Yeah, you really don't. I mean, obviously cautions have been kind of frequent, so you can kind of rely on a wave around or a lucky dog. But even if you can reliably think, okay, I'm probably going to get a wave around, you still don't want to rely on that. You want to be on the lead lap. You want to put yourself in the best position possible. And I think you're right. Just take those right sides and then the left sides next time around if you have to. But do not lose a lap, because a lot of the wrecks we've seen, they've been mid-pack to the back of the pack. And when you start in the back 1 lap down, tail end of the field, you're in prime position to get caught up in somebody else's mess as well. So green flag is going to come back out, and Jason Gracias, it looks like... No, I'm sorry, Doug Neal, another red truck. Doug Neal, oh, no! The number 10, maybe a little bit of help there. He goes around up to that outside wall. The caution flag flies again. Take a look at a replay. See exactly what happened to what had to have been one of the biggest movers of the race. So he gets clear of the 13 going into the corner. But unfortunately, the 13 got a run into the corner and again got a little bit tight. So that's 2 cars that 13 has kind of made contact with. You got to think he's not making any friends out there.
Now we've got another look at this one here. Throw it in the 3-wide TV slow-mo as they come into the corner. And I would say the number 10's also coming down the racetrack quite a bit.
Yeah.
And Scheffler just doesn't have might not have been anticipating the 10 coming down quite that far like he did. And, you know, I think they kind of meet in the middle there as the number 10 ends up close to the outside wall. But the good news is not in the outside wall, as he will be able to re-racking and get things going again. I do think that the number 23 right here of Robert Clavey will be able to, I believe, get the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. We'll see whether or not that's true here in just a few seconds. Jordan Scheffler, Stan Hausman coming down pit road along with Tristan Thuggy Maher in the number 17 as the 17 continues to try and fix his damage. We can report Doug Milliner has retired the 6th. The Martin Plute has retired the 8th. Dominic Tesoro has retired the number 69. Jeff Price also out of the race here tonight. So several of these drivers kind of falling by the wayside here, as we also, believe it or not, Andre, have just passed the crossed flags. We're over halfway home here tonight already.
Tell you what, you mentioned the number 17 trying to get some of that damage fixed, and that is another downside to these short tracks. If you're somebody who got caught up in something, not a whole lot of time to get the fenders beat out on that thing when you got the cars coming around to lap you quite frequently. So it's going to be tough for anybody to recover from substantial damage, and especially when we're clicking off laps. You mentioned we're already past the cross flags. You don't want to be falling to the back of the field when the race is going to be this short. The green flag is out. It looks like Doug Neal is going to try to make something happen on the bottom, but that 99 up top, it's a pretty good run. He's going to keep himself at the quarter panel at least, see what he can do. We've seen that middle line be really fast all night long, and it is going to keep him next to the leader, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get out in front. In fact, I think Doug Neal is slowly inching his way to having this advantage and being able to clear himself. And as they come into 3, yes, he is going to get clear, and we have an official leader. Doug Neal in that 77 has taken point. Philip Scott still on the bumper, trying to apply the pressure in front of Jason Gracias, who is inching his way back to the front of the field. Peter, we haven't seen him up front for a while, but we do know he's one of the fastest trucks in the pack here. So I think we got ourselves quite the interesting battle brewing, as it looks like the number 2, White, Justin White, he is battling with Bellinger and Tesoro back there for position. He was side by side. Down on the bottom, Tesoro trying to make something happen in the mid line. And I'll tell you what, Peter, I think I was wrong. I thought that the higher lines were going to come in as the race went on. Looks to me, the more these guys lay rubber down on the bottom, the more preferred it becomes, because nobody's really able to make the passes in that middle groove like we saw at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, I would agree with you. It seemed like that maybe people figuring out that bottom line is the preferred groove. I know we had some drivers kind of running that middle line, like you mentioned earlier in the races. There might have been a little bit of contact there. They almost went around there. As one driver who is trying to make that high line work, though, that is the number 5 machine, the Matt Cherry. We saw him charge his way up through the field from 11th up to 4th in just a handful of laps. He's buried back now in 8th there behind the number 30 of Tesoro, whipping his way now to the high side, trying to get that drive off. Just doesn't quite seem like he can get that drive off, but as I say that, he's now been able to pull level with Tesoro. Can he now continue to push on past the number 30? Can he get to the quarter panel of Justin White? No, he cannot. White shuts the door as we got this good battle happening in midfield. Meanwhile, Doug Neal out front by just about a quarter of a second on Philip Scott. There's a couple of truck lengths between those two. Now this group gets single file here. A good battle between all of them. Let's go check out that battle up at the front of the field. There it is. Doug Neal, Philip Scott, Jason Gracias. We mentioned Facebook.com/SimboxPC. That's exactly what you enter into Facebook. There's also a link in the description of the video here tonight. But Doug Neal putting on a good show. It's been a while since we last saw Doug Neal have what I would call a breakout run. Hopefully he can put this together and get another good result here at Southern National. A couple of weeks back at Daytona on the road course, things not exactly going to plan for the number 77 machine of Doug Neal. In fact, Doug Neal has kind of just had an up-down season in that number 77, currently sitting 10th position in points, finished in the 18th position, only made 6 laps. As caution flag waves once again here, Andre. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. I think it's a driver who a little while ago said he was having an up-down night, Tyler Bellinger. Let's see what happened to the 21 here.
Maybe a little... No, I'm not sure he got any help there. Might have just been too much throttle. As actually Tesoro goes around behind him as well. 13 truck getting involved there. Need to see another angle of that. I think that might have just been a self-spin, but again, I've thought that previously, and it turned out there was some contact. Sometimes these camera angles are hard to tell. Let's get a view from the back here, and there's room between them, and just a little bit loose, and then the two actually got into him, but he was already sliding at that point, so just getting a little bit sketchy on corner exit. That's what they're going to have to be careful of, especially if some of these guys have not taken tires. Then the corner exit's just going to get looser and looser for these guys, and they're going to want to lean on that loud pedal a little bit harder. But it looks like the number 10 is going to get the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award, moving back up to the lead lap here and seeing if he can maybe pass some trucks like he did at the start of the race. We know he's got some speed, just got to do some work to get up there. But tell you what, Peter, time is running out for some of these guys that have been trapped a little bit further back. We are on lap 94 out of 150. This race is absolutely flying by.
Yeah, the race is flying by. Yes, we've had a couple of caution flags. However, these are the types of races, Andre, where you can get off strategy from the leaders. You know that Philip Scott, he's been out there on the racetrack now for about 35 laps since he was last on pit road. Come down, get fresh tires, get fresh rubber on your car. You might be further back in the pack, but fresh tires sometimes can make all the difference, especially if we get a little bit of a green flag running. We've seen a lot of caution flags, but we know these NSRA drivers can get out there. We know they can get a long green flag running. If we could get a 50 or so lap to the end of the race, fresh tires right now could be a big deal. So you want to sometimes get off strategy, and who knows? You come down pit road now, you get fresh tires on. Let's say we go another 5 laps, get another caution flag, then all the leaders might come down pit road. And if the leaders come down pit road, you can stay out, and if you stay out, you get track position. So these are the types of races that I absolutely love because they're tough to call as a commentator. You can't really say, yeah, Philip Scott's been the fastest all night. Yes, he has. He's been one of the fastest, put it that way, as the green flag comes back in the air. But we don't know what the end of the race is going to be like at all because we still got 50 or so laps left here at Southern National as the number 99 of Philip Scott, the World Ninja League machine, whips his way off into turn number 3 and 4. And looks like caution flag is back in the air. Maybe now he comes down pit road here, Andre. Let's see if we can figure out what all happened here. Connection issues out of the number 18 machine. The 30 just getting loose up off the corner.
Yeah, Tesoro has not had a great night. It's been rough. And I was kind of waiting for that caution. I saw them go 3 wide, and I saw that connection issue, and I was like, man, there's nothing good going to come out of that. Unfortunately, just a bit of contact there and a little loose route at Tesoro, like you said. And it's one of those tracks where there's nowhere to really go, especially on these restarts. They say cautions breed cautions, and that's absolutely true. All these trucks in close quarters. Keep your eye on the truck ahead, but we are on board with Tesoro. He's going to get a little squirrely here. Number 1 truck, Jason Grassi, is up above him, and he gets that counter steer. He corrects it, but then, unfortunately, just corrects it a little bit too much. And when you add banking like this to one of these tracks, you come out of the corner, you shift from the banking to the relatively flat straightaway, and that weight shifts around. The truck wants to go all over the place, and tell you what, it's not always easy to keep that thing under control. So he's going to have to maybe get some damage fixed, as we do have some takers down pit road, Peter. We got Justin White in the number 2, and I believe that is the... I couldn't quite make it out behind it, but let's take a look at another replay here.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to jump back live. That was a little bit of a replay of a couple drivers coming down pit road. There's... rest in peace to the yellow cone up there as number 17 Tristan Dougie Maher trying to do some extracurriculars with the cone, as we've just now eclipsed the century mark here tonight at this very short track, the International Beer Day 150. If you're in the chat joining us here tonight, we want to know what your favorite beer is, so you can let us know. A couple of the drivers did before the start of the race. Let's see. We got Martin Plute, who no longer is out there on the racetrack. He said his favorite is Brewski. It's on the hood of his machine. Unfortunately, didn't get a great look at that. Jason Gracias, the number 1 machine, sitting in the 6th position here for this restart, 5th position rather. His favorite is Dogfish Head, a very, very good brewery out there. As the number 99 goes out there and is our race leader for this restart. Adam Newton back behind him here, Andre.
Yeah, Adam Newton is a driver we haven't really said a lot about tonight, but he did get up towards the front, and he didn't really do it on strategy. He did it on pace. So that 29 truck has been pretty quick, as he is going to be battling side by side with Cherry in the number 5. Let's see. Oh, some contact. I think the 5's going around. There ain't no saving that.
And there's the caution. Oh, we're stacking them up.
No.
We're playing bumper cars here on the front stretch as Matt Cherry now... Man, we just had to open our mouths. Now he's smoking out there on the racetrack, and not sure if he's out there to go get revenge on someone. He's coming down here, and he's going to say hello there, Mr. Budweiser machine, for International Beer Day, and not all too happy after that contact. Let's see what exactly triggered this caution flag. There was definite contact between the 29 machine and the number 5 here, Andre.
Yeah, so the 29 is down low, and kind of similar to what we saw before. I don't think Adam Newton expected the 5 to kind of crowd him down there, but at the same time, it's just difficult. 29 could have ran a little bit lower. Maybe they both could have given each other more room, but it's a race. The race is winding down. The laps are counting down, and you got to be aggressive, and that's kind of what we saw. It's just unfortunate that the way that this happened is we had a whole crowd of cars trying to work their way through, and nobody really knew where to go. It was just a massive game of 750 horsepower ping pong, essentially.
Yeah, here's Justin White and his ping pong hit right there. Some pretty hefty contact with the number 5, and maybe a little bit of smoke showing from the number 2 as well. That might be night done for Justin White. Meanwhile, Philip Scott, still your race leader out there on the racetrack, as it is very difficult to keep track of who our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner is under these caution flags as they keep coming thick and fast. I do believe Robert Clavey is in. I've said this like 10 times now, but that 73 seems like he's always in position to get the Lucky Dog, but never gets the Lucky Dog. So not sure if Lucky Dogs are turned off or something here tonight. But that number 73 is the first one now, 1 lap down. Stan Hausman in the number 39. He was in, I think, squeaked through that accident, if I recall correctly. He's going to be whipping his way. I thought he was going to be trying to slot in here. I think he's going to slot in maybe behind the driver that he'll be racing for position next. That is the number 13 of Jordan Scheffler. In front of him, Adam Newton in the number 29. He was involved in that accident. He's going to be starting at the tail end of the longest line for this upcoming restart in just a little bit. Looks like he probably claimed the responsibility for that particular caution as the pace truck lights continue to twinkle here up at the front of the field.
Yeah, we're going to have to go around again here, and when we go green, it's going to be just under 40 laps to go, and man, we've seen 40 laps go by like nothing, so kind of getting urgent here. And I know Philip Scott's probably getting pretty nervous. When you're racing, when you're in the heat of the moment, you're not really thinking about the nerves. You're kind of just going out there, hitting your marks, and really only focusing on going as fast as possible. But then you get this downtime, the yellow flags, and you're thinking, okay, I got to get this restart just right. I got to make sure I know who's around me. I got to think about what line I'm going to choose. And Philip Scott, he wants this win probably more than anybody in the field. He's been the most consistent. But unless he won one of the races recently that I missed, he has not won yet this season, correct?
Philip Scott in that number 99 won last time out at Daytona 2 weeks ago. So got that first win of the season, got the monkey off his back in the World Ninja League F-150. Trying to go back-to-back here tonight in the International Beer Day 150 as we got Jordan Scheffler around in the back of the field. Caution flag waving again once more.
Cautions breed cautions. He's just going to miss that pit road barrier. Take a look at the replay, and I think we're going to see the same old story here. Looks like we got a gaggle of cars going into the corner, and the 13 maybe getting on the brakes, trying to make sure he didn't rear-end anybody, and unfortunately that got the rear end loose on his truck, and he went around, and Maher getting involved. Seems like, man, did somebody put a magnet in that number 17 truck tonight, Peter? Because he has been an unfortunate bystander in almost every single incident.
I might be guilty of throwing the magnet in the number 17 machine. I don't know. I found a magnet on the side of the road today and kind of threw it up in the air and must have landed in the number 17 machine. I don't know. But Jordan Scheffler is on pit road to get himself some of that damage fixed, at least all of the damage that he can get fixed on the hard luck machine. Definitely showing that he's been having some hard luck here tonight in that Chevrolet. Meanwhile, out there on the racetrack, I believe Robert Clavey has finally picked up our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award in the number 73. So he'll be back on the lead lap. That will give us, I believe, about 11 trucks on the lead lap for what will be now about a 30 or so lap shootout, give or take a couple of laps as the lap counter continues to tick away. Phillips got your race leader, Jason Gracias, in second. Doug Neal, I was a bit concerned because Doug Neal was involved in that contact a caution or two ago. You see that right side damage on that Chevy Silverado. I was a bit concerned that the good night that he was having would go up in smoke. And how about the number 10 machine back behind him? Speaking of up and down, up and down, up and down, like he said, started this race basically shotgun on the field. Plus 12 positions now up into fourth. What a good showing it could be for his first ever start here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Tyler Bellinger behind him, and Nathan Maurer will be rounding out our top three rows. Vincent Valvano, Stan Hausman, Robert Clavey, and Jordan Scheffler rounding out our top 10. And I believe the 73 machine. Yes, folks, don't adjust your screens. I think he came down pit road and didn't take two tires and ended up losing that lap that he just got right back. So hopefully we see another caution flag. He gets his lead lap back, but we're down to just 8 on the lead lap as green flag waves once more. Philip Scott trying to go back-to-back here, our race leader.
He's probably hoping this thing stays green. I already talked about the nerves that some of these drivers can feel under caution during that downtime. He's thinking, let's just stay green. We got 31 laps to go. Let's just finish this thing out. But there's a lot of trucks up here in the top 5. You mentioned the number 10, back up inside the top 5. Tyler Bellinger upside the top 5 here. These are trucks that have been involved in incidents, and sometimes when everybody's having trouble, well, nobody's having trouble. It kind of cancels it out when everybody's getting involved in incidents. You never really know what's going to happen. And for the number 10 and the number 21, these guys have been able to make outstanding recoveries. And actually, Clavey would have made a good recovery had it not been for that unfortunate pit stop there that cost him another lap. Clavey had a bit of an issue at the start of the race with his steering settings when the session transferred over to the race, and he said in the iRacing chat here that he actually missed the start, had to start from pit road, and he was nearly back on the lead lap. So this race has been a roller coaster for all these guys as a battle for the lead is breaking out. Jason Gracias down in that low line. He's taken the lead with that line before. Now he's trying to emulate that move on Philip Scott, who's going to get a good run out of the corner, almost going 3 wide for a minute. Doug Neal thought better of it, backed out of that one. But these 3 cars, class of the field so far tonight, very equally paced. I think this one's going to come down to who can make the most consistent laps and pick them off the best.
Yeah, Jason Gracias and Doug Neal also pitted on lap number 91 here tonight. Meanwhile, Philip Scott last pitted on lap number 59. So over 50 laps on Philip Scott's tires. Of course, not all of those laps have been run under green flag conditions. It looks like Jimbo Casterline here will be caught by our new race leader, Jason Gracias. Doug Neal absolutely sending it to the inside there of Philip Scott as Casterline continued to have connection issues in his number 18 machine. Neal able to take away second from Scott as he's starting to go backwards through the field, starting to slide backwards. I know ninjas, they know how to slide and all that stuff, but sliding backwards through the field, that's probably the one slide you do not want to do, as we're hearing that maybe Jordan Scheffler has taken the number 13 onto pit lane, and I believe he has, maybe calling it a night. Tough break for a driver who has hard luck on his number 13, and it's hard luck here tonight. But wow, look at this. I was kind of expecting the number 1 of Gracias to check out. He was last night's winner here in the National Sim Racing Association, Andre, but Doug Neal, what a great job by the Simbox driver there, running in second. He's run down the number 1 of Gracias, and we have a battle on our hands with 20 to go.
We absolutely do. And, you know, Peter, you mentioned that with Doug Neal, it's been a bit of an up and down season. He's had some rough races, and now he comes to Southern National here, and he's just one of the best cars, if not the best car in the field. That's the beautiful thing about schedules like this. This league decided to put some really interesting tracks on the schedule that you don't always see NASCAR vehicles really go to. And sometimes you come to a track like this where a lot of drivers are inexperienced. You get that one guy who knows this track better than anybody else for whatever reason. Maybe he's run other series here. Maybe he just took a liking to it. But that experience gives him a bit of an advantage. And you can see drivers that, you know, maybe they're not always up front. They get their chance to shine, and Doug Neal has definitely shined tonight as he is continuing to put pressure on Gracias, who, look at this, Gracias a little bit squirrely out of the corner. That's going to put Neal right on the bumper. What does he do with it going into 3 and 4? He's going to stay right there as we approach the flag man. It's going to be 15 to go this time, or 16 to go, I apologize. We're going to go on board with second place, Doug Neal. This is how close it is. This is how little time you have to react. If anything happens to that one, if he gets squirrely, if he has to let off for any reason, that is a fraction of a second that Doug Neal is affording himself to react with as he stays right there on him. And it seems like every time he closes in, Peter, it's always on corner exits. So he's got that part of the track down, but just unable to make the pass thus far.
Yeah, Gracias doing a really good job of rolling the center, trying to keep that momentum. We saw a little bit of a hiccup there out of Doug Neal as he clipped the apron. He did, just I was saying that, clip the apron again. So Neal's trying. I mean, you can't say that Doug Neal is not trying to reel back in Jason Gracias. Maybe he overheated his tires just a little bit, allowing them to cool down for another late race charge. They do have lap traffic in front of them. We see Jimbo Casterline having his connection troubles, a couple of truck lengths in front of Gracias. And then they're running down the BeerStreetJournal.com machine of Stan Houseman. If you have not checked out BeerStreetJournal.com yet here tonight, it is, of course, National Beer Day. His caution flag is out once again. We'll have a shootout inside 10 laps to go. Trying to see if we can figure out exactly what caution flag might have been for. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say maybe Tristan Maher may have been involved. And, well, no one's hitting him this time, Jimbo. Or Andre. I don't know why I have Jimbo on my mind. I had Jimbo in the booth with me for Daytona. But, yeah, the number 17, Tristan Maher, I think, with that slide, bringing out the caution flag.
Yeah, just a bit of a self-spin there. There's a lot of damage on that 17. That thing's taken a beating, so I'd have to imagine there is some alignment issues. That thing cannot be right under the hood and under the chassis. So probably not handling exactly the best. I don't think I can fault Maher for losing control of that thing when it is probably fighting him at every step. Now the question is, who comes down pit road? Well, the 99 sure did. Philip Scott's going to take fresh tires. That's going to put him a little bit further back in the field, as quite a few drivers have stayed out, and it's going to be tough to make a recovery here with only a handful of laps to go when we go green. But this restart, Peter, this is going to be something. We've got Doug Neal and Jason Gracias. We do have the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award going to, I think, the number 73 machine. So he's going to get one of his laps back here. But as I was saying about this restart here, Peter, these two guys have been so close all night long. That battle we saw under green, I don't think either of us could have said which one was better, which one was faster. Those guys were just tire track for tire track, walking in lockstep around this track. And now they're going to be starting side by side. I think a lot of this is going to come down to who gets the better start. Now, Jason Gracias, he's the control car. He gets to decide when they go. If Doug Neal wants to get a good start, if he wants to get the advantage here, he's going to have to do one of two things. Either he's going to have to react perfectly to the sound of the number one revving up, or he's got to have a real-life spotter watching that leader who's going to tell him the moment he gets on the loud pedal and try to predict it. You know, sometimes you have to go before the leader even really goes and just kind of stay in line with him. It's a difficult thing to start second place, especially when, you know, if you fall back, you may not be able to make that pass, but it's going to be absolutely something. And the number 10, let's not discount him. He's been fast all night long. He's going to be starting up there in third place. And you know a rookie wants to win. I don't think there's ever a situation where you want to win more than when it's your debut race and you've shown that you've got speed. You know you can maybe win it. What a night that would be for the 10. So it's going to be an all-out brawl up front. We got Bellinger as well. He's another driver who's been involved in a few incidents. He's back up here. He's in the mix. As Jason Gracias is going to get on the loud pedal right at the end of the restart zone, and Neal spins his tires. He's going 3 wide for second place. That's going to give a huge advantage to Gracias.
Yeah, huge advantage for the number 1 machine, coming to just 4 laps to go. Meanwhile, the number 10 of Colton Gum around the outside. Great job for him so far here tonight. So far, things looking really good out front for the MaxGrafix.co machine. Doug Neal has a lot on his plate, though, with a hard-charging number 10 on the outside. The number 10 pitted on the same lap as the number 10, though, hits the wall. And now here comes the number 99, Philip Scott, on fresh tires. Remember that. Philip Scott was just on pit road, and caution flag waves.
Oh, my goodness. So this caution flag is going to really change things. Let's take a look at this replay. The number 21, Bellinger, he's coming out of the corner, and just kind of comes together there with the 971, I believe. Just a little bit of contact there. We've seen that a lot tonight, Peter, where one guy's coming up, one guy's coming down, and they just barely get together. It's tough for these short tracks. You got to be completely aware what everybody's doing. So the 21, he goes up to the very high line, and then coming back down into the corner, he starts turning in right here. And that was actually a little bit of net code, it would look like, Peter. There was about a foot between them when that happened.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was net code or maybe, just maybe, the 971 tried to slam on the brakes and locked up the rears and unfortunately went around. So he will have to start at the back here in just a moment. But there is Jimbo Casterline getting one of his laps back and is our Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner. And I think for only the second time this season that I can recall, Andre, we have a Beer Street Journal last call on the International Beer Day 150 presented by Beer Street Journal. That's a heck of a lot of beer, but big shout out to our friends over at BeerStreetJournal.com. You have to check them out for all of your craft beer news. Follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms. Great place to go and hang out and see what's going on in the craft beer community across the United States of America. And, of course, the sponsor of Last Call. We don't call it a green-white check or anything like that. It is the Beer Street Journal last call here in the National Sim Racing Association. It's pretty cool to have that, and we're going to have to re-rack them and do it all over again. And Andre, we saw that wheel spin out of the number 77 of Doug Neal. What do you think he's going to have to do different here?
Well, he's going to have to not spin those tires, first of all. That was just about the end of his race. If he hadn't caught this caution, I don't think he would have even had a chance. Now, luckily, this yellow flag kind of puts him back in contention, but the truck that I'm going to be looking at is the number 99. he's going to have the freshest tires. He's on the inside, on the bottom, and he's hoping that 77 isn't going to spin his tires because he needs the trucks in front of him to get a good start. He needs the trucks behind to get a good start so that he can actually have a chance as the green flag flies and the 77 does spin his tires again. That is going to push the 99 back into 5th place as they go side by side for that position. And the number 1, Jason Gracias, with 2 to go, has a pretty sizable lead over the number 21. Coming to the white flag, it's the final lap of the race. Jason Gracias down on that low line. Not a whole lot of pressure from behind. Bellinger's got good speed, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. Side by side for the last spot on the podium, Philip Scott may take it away from Doug Neal, but it's Jason Gracias who's going to win the International Beer Day 150 presented by Beer Street Journal here at Southern National. And it looks like, Peter, Doug Neal just squeaked out that podium finish.
Yeah, just barely picking up a top 3, but Gracias won last night here at Southern National. Gets the job done again here on 3 Wide TV, and he's just going to smash it into the wall. Make sure that truck's legal. I don't know about that front end, whether or not it was legal, but smashes it into the wall right there. And I'll tell you what, going to be one happy driver to interview here in just a moment. Some pretty interesting results there at the end. The number 10 machine of Colton Gum fell all the way back to 8th at the checkered flag. Definitely not the night that he had been hoping for after being up there in the top 5 late. Robert Clavey, you talk about stories of not backing down. Well, the number 73, I think, was 1 or more laps down for probably 85% of this race. Believe it or not, gets a top 10. Can you believe that? Not only a top 10, a top 5. How about that? Number 73 finishing in 5th. What a wacky, zany night here on the short track, but you got to have races like this occasionally here, Andre. You got to keep them interesting.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I heard we were going to Southern National, I knew this was going to be a fun race, and it definitely was. This was an up-and-down night for a lot of these guys, and it came down to just a last call, Beer Street Journal last call, and everybody had to try to do what they could in that dash. And unfortunately for Philip Scott, he kind of got slowed down by some of the trucks on older tires, but that's the risk you take. Coming down and getting fresh tires, it gives you an advantage, but it's not a guarantee, especially if you're starting behind somebody who's got old tires, who's going to be more susceptible to that wheel spin, and unfortunately just didn't wind up on the podium. But for the top 3, it was a really intriguing night, especially Bellinger, man. How many incidents did we see Bellinger unfortunately caught up in, and he still powers his way back to 2nd?
Yeah, going to be some fun interviews here for you folks. Let's dial up tonight's 3rd place finisher. Had a couple of instances of wheel spin there late, but Doug, nonetheless, a great showing here tonight for the Simbox number 77 machine. Tell us about your run.
Heck, I don't know, man. I just got lucky, I guess. I'm pretty good on short tracks and flat tracks. I'm pretty decent on, but yeah, right there late, man. I couldn't keep the tires under it for nothing. Trying to watch Jason when he would take off, and I couldn't keep up with him. And then I spun the tires again on the last restart. Checked up the field, I think. Well, I apologize to Philip for that, but yeah, pretty good run altogether. I'm pretty pleased with it. My best finish of the year, I believe. Yeah,
really, really good run. I think the first time we've had you here in the 3 Wide TV booth this season, like you mentioned. So a lot of fun. We know there was a lot of tempers after the last short track race about a month ago. You think these drivers are going to be as testy as they were a month ago here tonight, or do you think things have simmered down and people just realize that it's kind of the nature of Southern National tonight?
Well, I think there's a couple people who are going to be pretty hot about a couple of incidents, but I don't know. I know last night it got pretty hot a couple times, but I don't know. We'll see. Post-race fights or something, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I always hang out in there myself. Keep an eye on that. Keep my mouth shut, but keep an eye on the Friday Night Fights channel here in the National Sim Racing Association Discord channel. But a really good run for you here on the short track. But however, our next race, well, we got the season kind of winding down, at least until the chase. And the next round that we're going to be going to is at Atlanta Motor Speedway, of course, pretty close to your neck of the woods. So what are your thoughts about going to Atlanta?
I like running. If it's the new Atlanta, I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know if we're going to run the old track, but yeah, I like it. I enjoy it. Of course, I like the old one better, but it's fun. I mean, it's interesting. It keeps you on your toes because everything's so quick and everybody's right there together at that rate of speed. It's you gotta be on your toes. But it's a lot of fun. I think I can do pretty well there.
Yeah, it'll be the first time we have been to New Atlanta, I believe, on 3-Wide TV ever next week. So going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out and see exactly how the trucks race on that racetrack. So, of course, they punch a big hole in the air. There's a lot of drafting. There's a lot of high speed. And New Atlanta kind of races like a super speedway. So definitely going to be one to tune in for here on 3-Wide TV. But before I let you go, Doug, any shout-outs you'd like to give out here tonight?
Just my company, Simbox. If anybody's looking for Simbox, just hit me up on Facebook, and I'll be glad to help you out. And shout out to my teammates, Nate, Adam, and Justin. I think Nate had a little rough go tonight. That's unusual for him. Usually he's up in the top 3 or 4 or 5, but he had a little bit of trouble tonight. But those guys, I always enjoy racing with those guys.
Well, I tell you what, if they ran into trouble, they're not the only ones here tonight. Quite a few people had ups and downs here. But Doug, congratulations on finishing on the podium. We'll see you again next week at Atlanta. Thanks,
Peter. I appreciate it, buddy. Have a good night.
All right, that's going to do it with tonight's third place finisher, driver of the number 77 Simbox machine, Doug Neal. Now let's see if we can dial up Tyler Bellinger. I believe that Andre Graham-Bush has caught up with him.
Tyler Bellinger, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Well, Bellinger, that was one heck of a night, to say the least. You were up, you were down, and somehow you brought that beat-up number 21 truck to a podium finish. You had a lot of pace, and you did a great job tonight. Tell me about it, man.
Yeah, if you looked at a graph of my running position throughout the night, it looked like the EKG of somebody on cocaine. But it didn't start great. The track really felt off for me in qualifying after a good practice session for me, and I got caught up in an early spin. It wasn't a big deal. I wanted to check the damage and went down pits and didn't pay attention and put 4 tires on, so it put me a lap down and had to fight back for that. I had one spin that was my fault. I was going around and Justin tapped me in the back, and I think I would have probably gone around anyways. But I was just looking for a good points night. This is my first season with these guys. I joined a little late, trying to make the playoffs. So that second to last restart when Doug Neal spun his tires, that really checked me up, and I could have pushed it in there 3 wide and decided not to and checked up, so I was just going to be happy with 5th. But then another caution came out, and he spun the tires again, and I was on the outside and was able to take advantage of it, and super happy with P2, man.
Yeah, it was a great run, and I got to ask, what were the handling conditions like out there? We saw a lot of drivers get involved in incidents. You were far from being the only one, and it just seemed like the trucks were a real handful out there. What was the track driving like?
It was tough because everybody's got their own braking points. So I tend to drive a little deeper into the corner, so I had to be real careful when I had people in front of me. And I actually preferred that middle lane. You could roll off on exit really well. If you tried to hug the low line, the corner exit was pretty loose, at least for me personally. But you're up on the wheel the whole race. There's no time for a break or a breather on a track like Southern National. So for me, it was just timing the entry and then a little loose off through the majority of the night. But whatever transitioned from practice to qualifying stuck in the race. So I was super tight center through the whole race, and I just could not adjust it to figure out what was going on with it. So I'm actually surprised that I was able to hold the pace that I held, because I didn't think it was going to work out very well after I realized that the conditions continued from qualifying.
Absolutely. Now, next week, we're going to be going to New Atlanta, so I don't think you could do much more of a 180 than going from a short track like this to a track that's essentially going to race like a plate track. How do you feel about going to New Atlanta, and what are your expectations?
They're not going to be high. It's essentially a narrower super speedway. I have not run that track yet, so that will be completely new for me. It's hard to pass. It's really going to be a 2-laner. If anybody tries to go 3 wide, it's going to be pretty disastrous. And without having a fast repair, good luck. I don't think there's going to be a good strategy other than to try to just lead the whole race, because you're not going to really be able to fight through traffic. Nowhere's going to be safe other than just being that lead truck. So if you can do that, great. If not, best of luck to you. Send some prayers out.
All right. Well, before we let you go, Tyler, is there any shout outs you'd like to make?
I don't have a team. I'm still new to the league and everything, but shout out to you guys in the booth and all the admins and everybody who put the league together. I've really enjoyed it since I've been a part of it.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, and congratulations on that podium. We'll see you next week, bud.
Thanks, man.
That is Tyler Bellinger out of the booth. And now, Peter, I heard that you made your way down to victory lane while we were talking there, and you caught up with the race winner, Jason Gracias.
Well, I'm down here in Victory Lane enjoying a Dogfish Head IPA with none other than Jason Gracias down here. It is International Beer Day, and I know Jason is one to celebrate with a good brewski. And Jason, it was a wild race here tonight, to kind of topsy-turvy. Different pit strategies, track position being important, but you come out on top. Second night in a row as well here. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the TNR boys back at the shop prepared a really fast number one MaxGrafix.co Chevy Silverado this weekend. Not a Tundra. I wrecked too many Tundras apparently, so they had to break out the Chevys from last season. So all in all, no, it was a good race. I enjoy short track racing. With this new iRacing updates, it's really been all about track position. Sadly, dirty air was pretty prevalent tonight. And if you were out front, you could really dictate the race. So I had a blast, honestly. I know it was chaotic. I know I got through one big wreck towards the middle of the race there, but I had a good time. I know the TNR boys of Thuggy and Phillip and myself put a heck of a show on at the beginning. I know me and Tristan were side by side for, gosh, I don't know, like 10, 15 laps, but I had a blast out there, and I'm pumped to get Chris Darling in this MaxGrafix number one back in victory lane.
Yeah, there was a lot of good side-by-side battling up at the front of the field. What was it about this racetrack that kind of allowed for some good side-by-side battling?
It really comes down to the setup in all actuality. I think Justin White built this setup, or he modified it from something else, but kudos for him. I know the first couple laps you were pushing off of the turns. I don't know if the truck was on the splitter with the low air pressure, but after 2 or 3 laps when the air pressures came up, it really lets you rotate through the turn, and tire wear wasn't an issue. I know from my stints in practice, had even wear on all 4 tires, which is very rare to do. And if you're on the outside, you were able to pin the guy on the bottom, but if the guy at the bottom was able to hook it off at 2 or 4, he could have the run down the straightaway. So it's just a blend of a good setup. Track temperature was good, and these trucks don't make as much horsepower as Xfinity cars, and they handle kind of worse too. So that helps make racing a lot better, in my opinion.
Well, definitely a fun one here tonight. Next week, we go to the New Atlanta Motor Speedway. Definitely one that has, I don't know, kind of a mixed bag of reception. Some people are very open to it. Some people say, why on earth did you screw up the old Atlanta? But it had to get repaved someday. Did it have to get reconfigured? That's a different question. But have you been able to race at the New Atlanta in the iRacing.com simulator yet? And if so, what are your thoughts?
I have not turned a competitive lap at New Atlanta. When I went to PA Speed Weeks with Jason Freeman, I was over at his house, and he let me turn some laps on his rig at the New Atlanta, and I have to say, from what I did in practice, I am not a fan. However, as the saying goes, never judge a book by its cover. So I don't know if it's going to race like an old Daytona where we're flat out for maybe the first 5-10 laps, and afterwards you have to lift. So I'll go into it with an open mind, but from a pure standpoint, Old Atlanta was always probably the best track in iRacing. Slipping and sliding, multi-groove, man, that's hard to replicate. The only other track that you can do that now is Homestead. So hopefully NASCAR doesn't mess with Homestead, because I'll be devastated.
Well, we will. I mean, I would agree, but we'll wait and see exactly what happens with the Homestead. Hopefully it doesn't change for quite some time. But back in Victory Lane here again, and definitely an interesting one next week. Jason, before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, just thanks to Stan Houseman for everything he does with the league. He's been throwing out tremendous sponsorships with the Star Spangled Banner Bash, sponsoring the the Xfinity series, the Beer Street Journal series. Thanks to him for sponsoring tonight with the Southern National 150. Always a great time when sponsors and racers have something in common with beer. So great race. Thanks to the admins at NSRA for putting the league together. Thanks to Jimbo, Stay Tuned Sports for coming on as presenting sponsor. Brookstone Animal Hospital, Taz Racing Customs, Eclipse Photography, Simbox. Hit up Doug on Facebook if you guys want a button box. I am a big fan of these button boxes. They've really taken my iRacing to the next level in terms of immersion. Thanks to JNR Craftworks, and thanks to MaxGrafix and MaxGrafix.co. Always giving me some nice paint schemes, giving me some real old school Jeff Gordon vibes in this one car that we're going to see on Monday nights, Thursdays, and Friday nights going forward. And last but not least, thanks to Through ITV for the broadcast. Everybody in the chat, make sure you drop a like on the video, leave a comment, and subscribe. Really helps with the numbers and lets these guys hard work really show that they've been putting on.
Yeah, absolutely, Jason. Congratulations again on your win here tonight, and we'll get to hopefully talk to you again soon here on 3Wide TV.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and everybody home. Hope you have a good night.
All right, well, that's going to do it with our race winner here tonight. Definitely deserving here. Andre started this race on the pole, comes home our race winner as well. Let's see, though, if we can bring up our final race results for everyone back at home. Taking home the W, like we said, is the number one machine, Jason Gracias, finishing in second. Tyler Bellinger, Doug Neal in third. Philip Scott, fourth. Robert Clavey does not give up, comes home in fifth. Nate Maurer in sixth. Stan Houseman in seventh. Colton Gum in eighth. Jimbo Casterline in ninth. First Truck one lap down. And Vincent Valvano running out our top 10 there, Andre.
And just behind them, you got Adam Newton, Fast Truck. Just a little bit of misfortune there at the end of the race. Brings him home in 11th. Behind him, you got Jordan Shepler in P12. Tristan Maher, again, I think there was a magnet in that number 17 because he got caught up in just about everything. And a lot of it was not his own doing, so he's bringing it home 13th. Justin White in the number 2. Late Race Troubles brings him home 14th. And to round out the rest of the field, we've got Matt Cherry, Julian Tesoro, Doug Milliner, Martin Plute, Dominic Tesoro, and Jeff Price, 155 laps down. And that is going to do it for the final running order here at Southern National.
Yeah, definitely a wild race, and we didn't really know what the next lap would bring. We saw accidents in the front of the field, accidents in the back of the field, leaders dropping to the back, leaders coming to the front. Man, it was kind of wild and zany, but that's what you expect when you come to these short tracks. But Andre, I think next week's going to be a little bit of a wild card, kind of a throw of the dice. I don't know what to expect at New Atlanta.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Normally, I would know what to expect with a track like that. I would think it's going to be a bit of a wreck fest. But these guys, man, tonight was a bit of a exception to the rule. But all season long, these guys have been super clean, and the cautions have really come at a premium. So I'd expect some nice, clean racing next week. And, we heard the drivers say that it was going to be maybe a 2-lane race, but I think 3 wide is possible at that track, especially in the truck. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to stay optimistic, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what these guys can do.
These NSRA drivers have proved us silly more than once, and in the good way, that's for sure. But folks, until next week, stay safe and all that good stuff. Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to tune in August 12th. Yes, we're already in August. Can you believe it? 2022, right here on 3Wide TV. But until then, have a good night, and we shall see ya.